Welcome to the Golf Improvement Podcast, Episode 7.
Welcome to the podcast for golf lovers and enthusiasts who are looking to take their games to new heights. Dedicated to custom club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice to improve your golf game. This is the Golf Improvement Podcast with your host, Tony Wright.
Hello, this is Tony Wright from Game Improvement Golf in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, with the Golf Improvement Podcast, dedicated to bringing you useful information on custom club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice techniques to take your game to new heights. Today, I'm delighted to bring you an interview with Keith Chatham from Precision Fit Golf in Kerrville, Texas. Keith will talk about how he's helped many senior golfers play their best golf. But before I do that, my 65th birthday is coming up this weekend. It's my Medicare birthday, so I've had to learn about all the things you have to do to convert all your medical plans over to that. But I hope you don't mind me telling a little bit of story about myself here for a few minutes. Roughly 2 years ago, I don't believe I would have dreamed that my golf game would be where it is now, and I had some tremendous help from some people and some big learning experiences. And so let me tell you about that. January 2013, I started having pains in my shoulders. It took about 8 months to diagnose that was rheumatoid arthritis. And that April, I went on a golf trip, and the only way I could go on that trip was to take medication to dull some of the pain. I wouldn't say I played very good golf then. But I did go because I wanted to be with my friends. But so a little while after I actually had a good diagnosis of RA, and it was really interesting what happened. I mean, I couldn't walk down the steps straight forward in the morning into my basement. My shoulders would hurt. I had to buy a special chair to sleep in because I couldn't sleep in a bed. But I sent a video of my golf swing, I think it was like in October or November of 2013, to some of my AGCP friends, just on a lark, say, what do you folks think about it? And it had a lot to be desired. I had typically played pretty much a weak fade for a long time. I could score pretty well, but, my ball striking wasn't very good. And I got help from a few of my AGCP friends over the next few months that have done things for my golf game that I never thought were possible at almost age 65. One of those friends is Mike McFadden, an AGCP member and a PGA pro from Germany, who many of us just love to listen to when he talks on the forum. He suggested that I do a few simple things, work to strengthen my grip, and work to just simply let the ball hook, no matter where it went, even if it went left and hooked. And I've worked on that a lot and do some baseball swing drills and things like that. And at the same time, I was very fortunate to get some help from another friend, Brian Morrissey in Canada. Brian is a very accomplished club fitter, but he's also an expert in fitness. And I say fitness and golf fitness. He actually spent 2 hours 2 hours on a Skype session with me, and he walked me through a fitness evaluation, and then he sent me a notebook with a lot of exercises to do. And he also, I also purchased from him something he calls a power stroke that he developed, which was a way to help people do kind of practice swings in their basement and work to develop improved swing speed. Now, 4 or 5 months ago, I would not believe I could tell you what has happened as a result of those two things. First of all, I only hit the ball with a fade when I really make a bad swing now. And my distance and my shots has gone up at least 20 yards, where usually in the past I could hit drives when I hit them well 220 yards. I can hit 250 and 260 yard drives now. Great shots. I could hit a 6-iron when I really leaned into it 150 yards. Now I can hit a 6-iron. I've hit it as much as 170 when I have a 165-yard shot over a bunker. I'm not afraid to hit it. I hit a pitching wedge 120 yards. These are with the clubs that I built for myself in the past that are fit for me. They work great. My fairway woods are fabulous. I've hit a par 5 about 2 weeks ago that I haven't hit into in probably, maybe I've hit it into from the senior tees, which I play now, maybe once or twice before 5 or 6 years ago. So first of all, I'm just going to say, thanks to Mike and to Brian for helping me. They've really kind of helped me transform my golfing game. I shoot some great scores sometimes. I still make misses. Sometimes I don't score as well as I'd like. I can get frustrated like anybody. But the potential for continuing to play great golf and hit the ball pretty far, I mean, it's all there now. Even if I lose a little bit of yardage over the next few years, I'm very competitive with what I can do. But maybe more importantly, as Brian has told me, fitness is for life first and golf second. He mentioned that some of the things that I was doing from a fitness standpoint, and he gave me a lot of flexibility exercises to do, that if I had kept doing the things that I was doing, I probably would develop some real physical issues associated with that. So, for all of you out there who hear this, don't believe that that your best golf is in the past. Particularly, and you'll hear Keith talk about it, from a fitness standpoint, look for somebody that can help you to change what you do in fitness. Find somebody out there, certainly a Titleist Performance Institute person who's trained in it and can do an evaluation is good. There's even a place for you Knoxville people called D1 Sports on Hardin Valley Road, and they don't know I'm mentioning this, but I know that they are very well qualified in terms of helping people improve their fitness. Any kind of efforts to improve your fitness will improve your life, and who knows what it'll do for your golf. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy this interview with Keith Chatham. Hello, this is Tony Wright with the Golf Improvement Podcast, and I'm very excited today to be speaking with Keith Chatham from Precision Fit Golf in Kerrville, Texas. Keith is a 2006 International Club Maker of the Year. He's an AGCP Master Club Fitter, and at least personally, he's one of those people that I and other club fitters listen to when he speaks on the AGCP online forum at our annual club fitting roundtables. Hi, Keith.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing great. I'm really excited that you're gonna do this morning.
Well, thank you. I am too.
Let's jump right in, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your story. How you became a club maker and club fitter.
Okay, well, it's a little bit of an interesting story. I'm going to have to take you back probably about 27, 28 years. And I was living in College Station, Texas at the time. And this was the day after Thanksgiving, so it was the Friday right after Thanksgiving. And one of my playing partners and I had taken off work that afternoon, and we were going to go out and play the Texas A&M University course and get around to golf in that afternoon. And so we met at the course, and we played the first 9 holes. And between 9 and 10, we went into the little restaurant, got a hot dog and a soda and everything. So when we finished, we came back out to where the bags were dropped and everything. And when I looked down in my bag, all I had was my bag and my putter. The rest of my clubs had been stolen. And I had just bought these clubs. They were all tailor-made clubs about 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
And so everything was brand new, but they were all gone. And, of course, I was hysterical and everything. So I had to call the university police, and they came down and they said, well, we've been having some gang people come down out of Houston. You're probably not going to see these, or if we do see them, they'll probably be in some pawn shop somewhere in Houston, or maybe even San Antonio. And so I never found them. And of course, I went home that night, all upset and everything. And back then, even like in 1987 and stuff, a full set of TaylorMade clubs with my putter was somewhere around $900 at that time. So I'd spent a lot of money for that time. And I told my wife, I said, well, this just makes me sick and everything. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go back and buy a whole bunch of, brand new clubs and everything. Well, we went over the weekend, and my wife went back to work on Monday. And several of the guys where she works are golfers. And she had told the story about what had happened about my clubs being stolen. And one of the guys had told my wife, said, Golfsmith has a class, a 5-day class where they teach you how to make your own clubs. Okay. Now, I said this was the Friday after Thanksgiving. Well, my birthday is in December. So for my birthday, she had bought me the 5-day club making school to Golfsmith to be done, in February of the next coming year. And so in February, I went to the Golfsmith club making school, and it was fantastic. I made myself a full set of clubs, so I replaced all 13 clubs, and came home all excited and everything. Also had met other people just like me who wanted to make their clubs and stuff, so I made a few friends and everything. And so when I came back to College Station, they really didn't have any golf shops or anybody that did any type of repairs or anything. So through friends and everything, they had heard that, I had gone to the school and stuff. And so I started doing repairs out of my garage, and started doing a lot of repairs and more repairs and stuff. And so after about 6 months after that, a Nevada Bob's store came into College Station and opened up. And I didn't go looking for a job or anything. The owner, about a couple of weeks after he had opened up, had called me and asked me if I wanted to come over and, do all of his repair work, because that way, he could advertise that I was doing the repair work and stuff in the area. And so that's what I did. And I went to my day job, and I'd go over there about 5:30, work till 9 at closing, and I'd be there all day Saturday. And so for about 3 or 4 years, that's what I did.
Right.
Did all the repairs and everything. Nevada Bob's finally shut down, and they sold out to a company in Dallas called Supreme Golf, and they also hired me. But they didn't last very long. They only lasted about a year there. And so when that was over with, then I decided, okay, what am I going to do? Well, there were some other guys in town, a couple of the head pros and stuff, that were opening up a little shop where they were selling all the big OEMs and doing a little bit of minor repairs. And I walked in there one day with the idea that I was going to ask them if I could do repair work and everything. And I saw one of the head pros working on an old wood club. And the steel shaft was in it, and he was going to take it out and put in a graphite shaft. Well, he was heating the wooden head with a propane torch. And so I said, well, I don't know if I want to work here or not. Yeah. And so I went home and talked it over with my wife, and I got all the paperwork to start my business. At that time in College Station, my business was called Cardinal Golf.
Okay.
And because I'm a cardinal bird lover. And so I started doing a whole bunch of repairs and everything, fixed up a real nice area in my garage and stuff, and everything. So we moved from College Station to Round Rock, a suburb of Austin, Texas, probably in about 1993, something like that. And there again, I fixed up an area where I was doing work and stuff, and started doing a whole bunch of advertising in the local newspaper and everything to get some business, started getting some stuff built up. But there was a driving range about 3 or 4 miles from my house, and I went and talked to the owner, and we started working together, and he gave me permission to do fittings at the driving range. And so I started doing fittings at the driving range. And there in the Austin, Texas area, all the computer guys and everything were up in that section of the town. And so I had a lot of customers that were, age between 25 and 40.
Yeah.
And so that was my main crowd. And back then, Dell Computers was paying these young guys out of college and stuff with masters and PhDs over $100,000. And so they didn't think twice about coming in, every week or every other week, putting in a new Fujikura shaft or the next best thing and stuff. And so in 2002, my wife got a job offer in Kerrville, Texas, and we moved over here. And so I opened up a 2,400 square foot shop.
Yeah.
And I brought everything I had from Austin and Round Rock area that was fitting all these 35-year-olds and came over here to Kerrville, and it's a retirement area.
Yeah.
So my first year in business here, I almost went under because of the fact that I had all the wrong shafts, wrong heads, 94 offs, 9.5. And so I had to turn around and start finding out, okay, what do I do for the seniors? And so that's my story getting up to Kerrville.
Wow. So you never got to thank the guy that stole your clubs.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we never found him or anything. Yeah. But, because of him or her, whoever, and my wife, that's how I got into the business.
Yeah. That's a great story. Well, Keith, at our meetings and online and things, you talked and you mentioned it already that you work a lot with senior golfers, and you really have kind of a niche there. Can you talk a little bit about some of the different things, the details of fitting for senior golfers, and what you look for, and what's sort of unique about that?
Yes, here in Kerrville, over the past 11 years, I've done approximately about 4,000 fittings, and 90% of those are age 62 and older.
Wow.
When you work with a senior golfer, when they start warming up, the very first thing you have to look at is the physical ability of the golfer. How good are they? And you learn by looking at different things. Can they make a complete turn? Do they have reverse pivots? With some people, if you stand behind them, you can actually see them swinging outside to inside. Just make mental notes and everything, and write notes down about what's going on with the golfer as they warm up. Also have learned that when you do an interview with them, you really have to ask a lot of questions, because a lot of the seniors don't open up to you a lot. Yeah. I've had to deal with people that have had hip replacements, knee replacements, rotator cuff surgeries, spinal fusion, all different types of what I consider limited disabilities, seniors who have had strokes. And, some of the things may not be very noticeable. If someone comes in walking with a limp, of course, it's going to be very noticeable and stuff, but a lot is not noticeable. You need to ask a lot of questions. And sometimes you need to ask them 2 or 3 times, some of the things. Also, you need to ask them is what their expectations and their goals are. You will find out that sometimes it's a lot different than someone younger. It's still the same that they want more distance, because they understand, that they're older, they're less flexible, they want more distance. But you can talk to them and find out, how they're hitting, especially off the tee, how many fairways they hit, different things. You've got to pay attention to that a little bit more than usual.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, if they do have any kind of needs, if they've got arthritis, tendonitis, bursitis, fitting grips, different things for them. Different shafts. If they don't want to go to graphite, then you look at the shaft inserts, to help the shock absorption of the club. And so there's just a lot of different things that you have to try and look at, okay? And you also, when doing a fitting, okay, you can, talk to them, ask questions. And generally, when you do a fitting, you say, this is what you're doing out on the course. Most people agree. Someone may have told you they were hitting 235 yards, but if they're hitting 216, 217, they'll agree that 235 probably happened 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And, so you have to kind of weed that stuff out. And you always are looking at and working with the physical ability of the golfer. I've got some 75, 80-year-olds that are extremely strong. I've got some 60-year-olds that have already had 4 or 5 different operations, and they're not very physically strong. And so you have to look at different things, different shaft needs, head needs, loft, face angles, very important, face angles, offset, that you're going to need. That's going to be a little bit different than when I was fitting the younger crowd and everything. So it was a big change for me. And that was probably, I don't know, I would say almost took me under the first year, but I was a quick learner.
Yeah.
And I started studying a lot, reading a lot of what Tom Wishon's book said. Actually, even talked to Tom Wishon quite a bit.
Yeah.
He and I have known each other since about 1993. So there was a lot of back and forth with Tom, asking different questions and everything. And it comes up that I know you have fit some senior golfers also. That it's just a little different. You have to watch what you're doing. Another thing with seniors that I found out is that, if I get a 35-year-old in here, I can probably do a fitting for a driver in maybe 2 hours. But if I get a senior that has had a knee operation and maybe a hip replacement and everything, I may only be able to get 40 balls hit, and all of a sudden I see the swing speed and stuff drop 4 or 5 miles per hour.
Oh, yeah.
When you see that, fitting's over with. That session's over with. So sometimes, a lot of times, it takes me 2 sessions, maybe even 3 sessions to finish fittings with a golfer, with a senior golfer, and that just depends upon their physical ability. As you hear about what I'm saying, it's always coming back to, as the club fitter, when you work with a senior golfer, you always have to look at the physical ability of the golfer and what they can do, because that's going to determine what you can do as a club fitter in the fitting. And it's very, very important.
Yeah. Wow. Well, like you said, I've had those instances too where they get tired, and and I think I learned from you about being able to say, stop. So that was great. Now, I asked you to talk about, and I know you've got some great ones about some success stories with senior golfers that you've had, and I'm sure with 4,000 fittings, there's a lot. But can you talk about a few of those?
Yeah, I will. I'm going to talk about two that. Even though there's a lot of them I could talk about, like you said, but there's 2 that really stand out to me. Anyway, back when I was in Round Rock, this was around 1993-94 time, I had a Vietnam veteran call me, and he said, I got your name off of the veterinarian helpline. We didn't have the Wounded Warriors back then, but you could volunteer as a club fitter to help veterans who need help, that had disabilities and everything, that came back. So he called me. His name was Matt. And at the time, he was about 61 years old. And he was on a PT boat in Vietnam. And the PT boat got blown out of the water. And he and one other gentleman were the only 2 that survived. And his whole right shoulder and right arm was just blown off completely. Yeah. So he had no right arm. He had severe damage to the right side of his leg, and especially to his right knee. At the time I met him, he had already had about 5 operations on his right knee. So I had a guy that had his left hand, and his left side was good. And so we worked back and forth for a year and a half, and everything, trying to get clubs working for him and everything. But he played right-handed, and I made him a club that he swung with and hit with on his left side. And now that I think about it, a few years back, there was a type of swing going out on the PGA called a stack and tilt. Yeah. But this is exactly what Matt and I ended up doing back in '94. Okay, is because we had to get him over on that left side and get him up top with that stack and tilt and keep his head over the ball and everything. And so I ended up at first making him, like a 5-wood and I think an 8-iron and a putter to go out and start playing and everything. And I set him up with a really good teacher there in the Round Rock, Austin area. And so he would go to the teacher, and and get lessons and everything. This teacher specialized in working with people with disabilities. And he'd come back to me, we'd work and everything. So after about a year and a half and everything, he came to me one day and he said, I'm going to enter the Special Olympics, the Texas State Special Olympics in golf. And he had already worked his handicap down to probably around 15 or 16. And so he said, man, I want you, during that whole period, though, that year and a half, I had added clubs and everything, but now it's getting serious. We're going to get a full set of 14 clubs for him. And we started working, and over about a 6-month period, I had fitted clubs for him completely. And he won the regional there in the Central Texas, Austin area. He won the regional for his age group, over 60 and over. And so he got to go to, they had the course there in Austin. Austin's the state capital. They had the state championship that year in Austin. And he blew away the competition and won the Texas State medal championship, gold medal for over 60. He won by 5 strokes.
Wow.
Yeah, blew away. Now, he's about 82, 83 today, still playing golf. He and I keep in touch. Last time I talked to him was about 4 months ago, and I was back in the Austin area, so I gave him a call. And he's still playing golf, still loves the game. And even though he's 83 or something like that, he says he's able to keep his handicap probably around 18 to 20. Okay, so that's one of them that I had. Now, the other one that I had happened about 5 years ago, and this was with a senior lady. And her name is Joanne, and she was living in Houston, but she was born and raised here in Kerrville. And her husband had passed away, I think the year before. She didn't have anything to do. She bought her a little condo up here in Kerrville, and so she'd go back and forth from Kerrville to Houston. Her kids were all in Houston, and she'd come back here because she still had some relatives and everything here. And she came to me. She'd been playing golf with her husband probably for 30 years. And she came to me and wanted a set of clubs and everything. So I did a complete fitting with her, made her a full set of clubs, playing back and forth. She came in. She was a regular customer for 2 or 3 years and everything. So then she came to me and called me, and she said, I need you to fit me to a driver that I can hit a long, long way.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how come? What are you doing? And she said, I'm going to enter the Houston Area Long Drive Association for the senior women. And I said, what? She said, yeah, I'm going to enter the long drive.
Yeah.
I want to win the long drive. And so she came in and we were working. This lady has a very flat swing, so we were able to get something out. But we had a little problem. She also is fairly well endowed with boobs. And so she was always talking to me and everything about, well, when I go back and everything, my boobs get in the way, so I'm having to swing around my body and everything. And I talked to her and everything. So my wife told me, said, tell her to go get one of these sports brassieres, the compression fitting.
Yeah. And
whatever she wears, if she wears a large, get a medium. If she wears a medium, get a small and have it. And so I told her that, and when she was in here and I was telling her, and she said, well, do you think that's going to help? And I said, well, my wife says it helps. She's been playing a little bit of golf. And I said, and she's in the same situation you are. And so she came back, a couple weeks later and told me, she says, boy, those sports brassieres, they sure do work well and everything, So that was kind of funny, I thought, a little bit of a situation there with her. But I got a call, probably after that, about 2 months, 3 months later. And she was, at the time, she was like 74, 75 years old.
Yeah.
She hit the ball 226 yards and won the Houston area. They called it Super Duper Women's Senior Championship.
How exciting. Yeah.
So those two are two success stories that kind of just stand out with me.
Yeah, really great stories. Now, Keith, let's sort of at the end here. I know you've been thinking about this. Can you provide some suggestions? And I like the way you said this. For seniors to keep playing, not just golf but competitive golf. I mean, I play with with folks myself that, range in the 70s and 80s, a lot of real good friends, and they're competitive. They're not into this just to, go out and walk around or drive around, but they are competitive. So looking forward to hearing what you say about this.
Okay, I'm going to go over 5 things. Number 1, get fit. And when I say get fit, I mean for all 14 clubs, not just a putter or not just a driver. Most people hear about, okay, the putter is the club you use the most in the round. That's correct. And then the driver is what you set everything up with off the tee. That's correct. But you got to remember that with a putter, you use that for about 42 to 45% of all your strokes, and with the driver, on average, about 12%. So that leaves 46% left out there on the table, and that's the rest of your clubs.
Yeah.
You need to get fit for all 14 clubs. It makes a very big difference. And you need to get fit with someone like yourself or myself who is a professional fitter, okay? I'm not real crazy about how some of the big box stores does their fittings, although there are some good fitters at some of the box stores, okay, and everything. But get properly fit. That's number 1. Number 2, you knew it was coming. You've heard me talk about this quite a bit, is get into a fitness program. I have a physical rehab location about 3 doors down in the strip center that I'm at right now. And there's about 3 or 4 physical rehab people in there, but the person that's in charge of it, she and I talk quite a bit. And she had told me that after the age of 40, for every decade, we lose approximately 3 to 5% of our flexibility. Okay, if someone is in a fitness program and stuff, they lose about 3%. Couch potato about 5%. I didn't like those numbers at first. Then I started thinking about it. Okay, if you're 70, now the person that was in fitness has only lost about somewhere 7 to 9%, and the couch potato is up at 15% or more. So, you need to do a fitness program that specializes in flexibility. Some good programs out there are Pilates classes, Tai Chi, yoga is very good. I personally do a thing called TRX, and it does a lot with flexibility and everything. Now, when I say get into a fitness program, I'm not talking about doing it and getting in there and going once a week. You need to go at least 3 times a week minimum. And the flexibility exercises and workouts should be anywhere between about 45 minutes and 1 hour every time that you go. All right. So that's my second thing. Now, the third thing is something that I'm real big about with my seniors. And whenever I go to different places and talk and everything, this is something that seniors never even think about. You need to know your carry distances with all your clubs, excluding the putter.
Yeah.
But you need to know your carry distances. Why? It's a thing called greens and regulation. Most of my seniors are only averaging anywhere between about 4 and 6 greens and regulations per round. Well, that's not good enough. That's why you're leaving strokes out there on the field. And you need to know the carry distances. You need to know if you've got a GPS or anything, how far is it to the front of the green from where you're at? And then you need to know the carry distance that you can get that will put you on the green, that will get you maybe 3 or 4 more yards, further than what it is to the front of the green, so that you can be on the green in regulation. If you're short and you have to chip up, then you 2-putt on par 4s, you got a bogey and you're out of there. But you need to increase your greens in regulation. One way is to know all of the carry distances of your clubs. Okay. Another thing, number 4, take lessons. A lot of seniors get older and they decide they don't want to take lessons as much. Now, I don't mean you have to stay in a set of lessons with somebody, 12 months out of the year or anything. But if you've got a good professional teacher or something, then stick with that person that knows you. They'll know your swing and everything. But go back to them 2 or 3 times a year. Get a refresher, lessons and stuff, because too many of us watch Golf Channel. We watch the different people trying to tell us, try this, do this, everything, about different lessons and stuff. And sometimes we screw ourselves up by doing that. And so go back take refresher courses and stuff. Refresher lessons with your teacher and everything. It's very, very important. Last, I'd like to close out and tell you that the fifth thing is have fun. Golf is a game. Be sure that you have fun. And the one thing you need to remember about golf, it's not the longest drive that you hit. It's not you made a 60-foot putt, which you will remember those.
Yeah.
But the main thing is lowest score wins, and just have fun playing golf.
Yeah. Keith, I really appreciate you talking with me today, and I hope a lot of seniors get to listen to this, and anybody, because some of the things really relate to everyone. If you live in Texas, if you're a senior, and I know if you're not a senior, Precision Fit Golf is a great place to go to get custom fit clubs. You can learn more about Keith at www.precisionfitgolf.com. And Keith, again, great things that you talked about for all of us, and thanks again for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Bye now.
www.gameimprovementgolf.com.
Well, Keith, again, thanks for that great interview and great advice for all of us senior golfers. And for you senior golfers out there, why not believe that your best golf may be yet to come? And that's it for today. In 2 weeks, I'll talk with Bob Sims, the head coach of the St. John Fisher College Cardinals golf teams in Rochester, New York. Bob is a good friend, and I hope you will enjoy what he has to say about helping his golfers and you to play your best in competition. See you then.
Game Improvement Golf, your source of information and inspiration to become an exceptional golfer now. www.gameimprovementgolf.com.